Hi, I'm Neil Pavon, the product marketing manager for Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age.
Neil, what are you showing here at Pre-E3?
We are showing our first hands-on demo. There's actually a lot of content that we've got to show. First part of the demo is the very beginning of the game where the hero character is by himself. He hasn't put together his full party, and he's really just setting out into the great big world for the first time. The second part of the demo is much further into the game. He has a full party, and there's a lot more to do and see.
What's new for returning fans and what old fans can expect?
Great. So for returning fans, people who've played every Dragon Quest in the series, it's been a while since we've had a mainline console release. The last time we had one was Dragon Quest IX all the way back in 2011 on the DS. And before then, the last time we had a mainline Dragon Quest release on console was in 2005. So now we've got Dragon Quest XI with modern tech. It looks and plays better than ever. So really, when it comes to what's new, what are returning fans going to get? They're going to get the best looking and best playing Dragon Quest ever.
We've had a resurgence in Akira Toriyama art with Dragon Ball Super and now with Dragon Quest XI. Can you talk about his involvement in the project?
Akira Toriyama has been involved in every Dragon Quest game for the past 30 plus years, and he is the main character designer. We're really lucky to actually have some pieces of artwork that Akira Toriyama designed himself, which is really fun and exciting.
When you showed me the hero of the game, I was like, oh cool, why is Android 17 the hero?
We've heard that a few times, yes, absolutely.
So you can talk about how big this world is in scope compared to other Dragon Quest games.
It's pretty big. When you compare it to other mainline games, it's going to be fairly similar. I think a lot of people are very familiar with 8. At least here in the West, that's where it's been one of our best performing Dragon Quest titles. That's kind of the frame of reference a lot of people use. The world, as far as size and scope of the game, is pretty similar. I personally played through an early version of Dragon Quest XI. It took me close to 100 hours to get through it, and that was barely touching any of the side quests. So if you're a completionist, you want to do absolutely everything, it's going to take you well over 100.
Is there monster breeding in the game and monster battles?
So you battle monsters, but there's no aspect where you're going out, gathering monsters, bringing them onto your team. It is more of the traditional, you're there, you're fighting the monsters, but you aren't collecting them to battle each other in a sort of arena deal.
You mentioned some of the major changes you changed from the Japanese version to the US version. You talked about you renamed hard mode and changed some user face things, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, from a visual perspective, we've overhauled the menus and UI. The Japanese version was more kind of basic black and white text. The Western version has a little more visual flair and iconography that we're using. The biggest difference, though, is the voiceover. The Japanese version of the game had no voiceover whatsoever. The Western release has full English VO, every cutscene is voiced, and all of the dialogue is fully lip-synced.
Can you talk about some of the talent that you casted, or is that under embargo?
So we haven't talked about any of the talent at this point in time.
Matt Mercer confirmed. Okay. So can you talk about the story in this world? What's happening? How do you start this adventure?
At the very beginning of the game, you play as the hero, the luminary character, and his name is really up to you. You can name him whatever you want. And he has this coming-of-age ceremony where he learns of this latent power that he never knew about. He comes home and he tells his mother about it, and she says, oh, yeah, about that. Before your grandfather passed, he wanted you to know that once you come of age, you should go to the king and tell him that you are the reincarnated version of this legendary hero from ages long past. You are the luminary reborn. So it comes as quite a shock to the hero. He leaves his hometown and goes on a quest to meet the king and tell him about this fate. Along the way, he's going to get in all sorts of adventures, meet all sorts of endearing characters, and eventually learn of this big, ominous threat facing the world.
Thanks, Mom. Well, at least we get to see Android 17's precursor story.
No comment.
So, can you talk about why what do you think is about Dragon Quest that's had it withstand the test of time over all these years?
Sorry, can you ask that one?
What do you think it is about the Dragon Quest franchise that had it withstand the test of time over all these years?
Yeah, so I think when you look at the mainline titles at least, there's a certain element to where people kind of know what to expect and they know what they're going to get, and that has a certain feeling of comfort that you get. And really, when I play through Dragon Quest and Dragon Quest XI, it's like the ultimate feel-good game. It's got a story that I love, it's got characters that pull me in and make me want to learn more, and like I said, I played through a good chunk of it and just had an absolute blast with it. And I I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone's impressions coming out of this event and coming out of E3 once we get there. And ultimately, once the game releases, I think people are going to have a fantastic time with it.
You mentioned that someone doesn't have to play any of the Dragon Quest to understand what's happening in this story. However, are there any Easter eggs in the game that old Dragon Quest fans will recognize and appreciate?
Yes, 100%. If you are a hardcore fan, there are going to be throwbacks and Easter eggs and all sorts of stuff that you'll love and appreciate. But if you have no idea, you know nothing about the series, you've never touched them before, you're not going to miss anything. Those things will just kind of pass by without you even knowing. And yeah, there's something for everyone, for sure.
So when does the game come out and what platforms will it be on? Please say Nintendo Switch.
The game is currently in development on Switch. It is quite a ways out, so far out, in fact, that we do not have a release date. It's coming to PS4 and PC first on September 4th.